It was the most terrible experience of his life. Villimer was just 19 when he was thrown into this prison in Madrid. Today, it's hard to imagine the horrors that took place here during the fascist regime of Francisco Franco. To force Mayer to speak, the police staged his execution.
When they point a pistol at you and press the trigger with no bullet, in that split second, two things can happen. You can just stand there, speechless, like I did, or you fall apart.
The young communist did not reveal any names. His time in prison in the early 1970s helped spur his decision to enter politics, where he eventually served as MEP for the United Left Bloc. Mayer fears that right-wing populists are gaining support. In 2018, the far-right Vox party took 11% of the vote in Andalusia's regional election. Now the country is heading into a general election.
I feel safe today, but I'm very worried because a political force like Vox is yearning for a time in which we lived under a dictatorship.
The far-right Vox party wants to unseat the socialists. A crowd of Vox supporters have come to this bullfighting arena for a rally. Many have written the slogan, "Spain for the Spanish," on their flags. They want to ban abortion and same-sex marriage. And they glorify the years under the dictatorship.
The Franco years weren't so bad. There was a good side.
Okay, it was a dictatorship, but a harmless one.
I'm proud of Spain's history. Thanks to Franco, Spain made progress and became what it is today.
For Franco's victims and their families, sentiments like these are a slap in the face. For 9 years, they've been demonstrating every Thursday in the center of Madrid. They're calling for truth, justice, and retribution. They say the dead should be exhumed from mass graves and given a proper burial, and their murderers and torturers brought to justice. For the people here, the rise of the far right is a shock.
They want a reconquest. A reconquest. Can you believe it? This is a disgrace to Spain. That's why we're here, demonstrating against fascism. Not for ourselves, we're old, but for our children, our grandchildren.
The crimes of the dictatorship have been swept under the carpet, agrees Nicolas Sanchez. Under Franco, he became a forced laborer. He fled Spain and only returned after Franco's death. He wrote a book about his life. Spain's younger generation, he believes, has learned far too little about the horrors of the dictatorship. That's why many are now joining the far right.
We haven't properly grappled with our own history. We had an entire series of very conservative governments. They made sure that school children never learned about what actually happened in this country. They even denied that we had a dictatorship.
Spain's history has divided the country. Far-right Vox leader Santiago Abascal rejects the notion that any form of reckoning or redress is necessary to come to terms with Franco's nearly 40-year dictatorship.
We won't apologize for our history. We should acknowledge its glory, its darker side, draw the best out of it and take pride in it.
Villimer is dismayed and angry at the Spanish left, which he says failed to counter the rise of the far right. He hopes the radical right won't have a strong showing in the general election and become kingmakers in a new conservative government, as they did in Andalusia.
That was one of the most terrible nights of my life. After so many years of struggle and sacrifice, after so many disappeared, so many who were forced to flee, so many who were tortured, this would be a step backwards. It would be like starting over again at zero.
Villimer says he won't give up. He'll continue to fight for a just, enlightened, and modern Spain.